Okay, so here we have the Siku Control32 SCANIA with tipping trailer. So I do want to go through this with a bit of a narration as well, which I normally obviously just do silent videos, but I think with this item being so expensive, I think it will be of great value if you just sort of hear my feedback as well. So I did some hunting around when I wanted to purchase this item. There was a couple of places I looked online. I'm obviously based in the UK, so I looked on Scale Farm and I think Wonderland Toys, and I eventually, just because of price reasons, really set on a company called 132. It's all obviously in the name, so they do a lot of RC controlled stuff, which is at the 132 scale. Not just Siku, all other brands that you can get out there. So yeah, let's get into the unboxing. Okay, so obviously the first things first, that obviously it came in this cardboard box, and obviously as you can see it's been put into bubble wrap. So I have quickly looked at this just before doing this unboxing to make sure everything is in the box and nothing goes hitch through the video. So I think on first impressions, you know, what Siku have actually done here, I actually think the box is actually really nicely coated, so if you do store this in the loft, I think that, you know, it will be okay. A lot of the boxes obviously in our loft can, because of the temperature control and condensation in summers and winters, you know, it will mess with the boxes. So if you ever do want to sell this on later on down the line, I think the box is really well coated actually. So that's one of the first things I did think when I opened up the bubble wrap box. Okay, so it's just a case of getting it out of the box now. Okay, so we have outside the box, so let's actually have a look what we've got inside. Okay, so immediately the first thing we have is the instruction manual. So I'm going to do the usual mail thing and throw that to the side. It's all obviously nicely put in this polystyrene. So the first things first, what we have is everything you can see in here. Let's just tip you down slightly. There we go. Right, so first things first, I'm going to get the main cab out, and you can tell straight away that this is a quality built item. It is so heavy. I think what I'll do is I'll just put that to a side, and let's just run a test. We have a set of scales here. Okay. So I am just changing this to grams because this is the UK, so it's the metric system. Okay, so this is 915 grams alone. So just the cab in itself is nearly a kilogram heavy, nearly a kilogram in weight. Okay, that's actually pretty impressive. Okay, let's give it a go on actually with the trailer now. So weight of the trailer. Now I would say the first thing on picking this up, not everything, and I think this is one of the things that I expected it to actually be, is that I had expected the trailer to be die cast metal as well. There are some parts of it, like the chassis, that looks like it is die cast metal in places because it's cold on the touch, but the actual sort of trailer part itself is actually plastic. Obviously it comes with this nice little cover. Just chuck that to the side, and the weight of this is 757 grams as well. So it is, overall you've nearly got 2 kilos, or definitely a good 1.5 kilos of die cast and plastic. Okay, so as we can see here, on first look, as we're just looking up close to the camera there. Anyone that's done any research on these will know that all these lights working, and we're going to get all of those working as we go into the review as well. So there is, as you can see here, there is a lot of detail on this, and I'm super impressed actually when I just looked at this before shooting the video. And again, with the trailer part, these all come down, this all tips up. Okay. You can obviously get lots of stuff in the back there. Okay, so let's just put that to a side and let's see else what we get in the box. Okay, so what else have we got here? So we have, down in the bottom here, we have the battery which goes in the trailer. And then we have the battery which goes into the cab. And then the charger for both batteries. And then obviously the plug and the control. And as you'll see here, I think you'll obviously notice right away is that this is not got an internal battery or any rechargeable battery in itself, so you will actually have to have 4 AA batteries to use the controller, but the actual batteries that go into the trailer and to the main cab are rechargeable. The other little plastic thing in here, it looks like we have different wing mirrors as well, so that you can pop the ones that we got off here, which I think this is obviously just when you know, if you've got the trailer on as well, you've got the extended piece there. So those look pretty well, and you know, even they've got the silver coatings on them. And as you can see here, everything, you know, in certain areas does have plastic covering on it. I think the one thing just to note, just obviously with this, it's not something that you can use and just move about, obviously, because this wheel is locked, and obviously you can push it with your thumbs, but I'm not necessarily sure, you know, you're going to get a lot of fun at actually just rolling it along. So yeah, okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to just plug in the batteries and charge it up, and once that's all done, we'll get back into the review. Okay, so the batteries are now finally charged up. Obviously, as you saw when I started the unboxing, I just threw the instructions away, not thinking that I'd ever need to use them again. So obviously, big mistake. So the first thing just I wanted to know about this charging system, it's slightly odd and not something I've come across before. I do fly a lot of drones, so I do obviously charge various different batteries. So when I plugged this in, it came up with the standard sort of red lights, and so I would have thought it'd probably take about an hour to charge up. Well, I just left it there for a couple of hours and it was still doing nothing. The battery was, the lights were still flickering, and so I had to go to the manual. Yes. So what I would say is that what it was obviously I obviously had slotted it all in correctly. It was correctly housed, but you actually have to turn the battery to the on position for it to actually start charging. And that's with both of them. The second quandary I had is that obviously, as you've seen, that I've just slotted that in, and it is quite easy to slot in, and it looks like it should actually be in there. The one thing that I was just a little bit weirded out with this is actually, does this one actually fit in there at all? It just looks like it didn't seem to have any natural placement. The only thing that got me thinking that this was actually supposed to go in there is this little hook that is on here down as you get into the housing unit further down in there, there's like a little wire that this hooks onto. And it was only when I was, and even so I started placing it in there, and I thought, oh, no, that can't be right. That's not onto the charging points. So in the end, I just forced it on, and then obviously turned it into the on position and started charging it. I thought that maybe the actual charger that goes in here would go in there, but it obviously doesn't. But I just a little bit weirded out actually about what is about this whole charging system. I just think it could have been done a lot more straightforward, and I was just wondering that now that it is actually hooked in the bottom there, how do you get it out? And to my own sort of worry after spending £300 on this item is that you basically, I have not found any sort of knack, and it certainly doesn't tell you in the manual of any certain way that this has to come out. So the only way that I've managed to get this out is actually by physically pulling it out. And as you can see, trying to be careful with it is not actually helping at all. I have tried a number of different ways to get this out. And as you can see, I'm having fun with it right now. Right, okay, so obviously I had to stop the video to actually get this out and to work a knack how to actually get this out. So once you've clicked it in, you do actually have to physically press this. You actually do have to physically press this down even further and then lean it to the side to get it out. And as you can see, it's still not a perfect dismount from this whole system. So I think right before I even got into any of the of what this video is for, charging this up, I'm just really not comfortable about how long this clip here and the actual wire that holds the actual thing down is going to actually last. So the manual does actually say that after 500 cycles of these batteries, the battery may reduce down to 20 by 20%. So you get a good 500 goes out of it before that you start seeing any sort of noticeable difference on the lifespan of the battery when you're using it. So let's get into actually getting this thing on. And just as a little note, I've put my 4 Energizer batteries in there. So we'll turn that on in a second. Okay, so first things first, the heavy unit. Okay, so slotting the battery in here. I've not turned this on yet, so this is all first and brand new to me as well. It's very easy to understand which end that's going in, because you can see down the end there, the contacts are on that side. So that just looks like that just slots in there, as you can see, just nicely slots in. And as we can see, we have some lights because it's on, but I'm going to turn it off to start with. Let's just get the cover back on. Now I've pushed that in all the way. Okay, so clearly I have not put this in correctly. All the way in. Okay, so there you go. You do actually obviously have to push that in, and once it's fully pushed in, this plastic push button here will come out, and you'll obviously hear a noticeable sound. As you see with my first attempt to putting it in, that this housing won't actually go back on if it's not actually fully in already. So let's just try again with this. That goes in, and no, I've unsuccessfully. So does it have to go in even further? No, I'm just not slotting this in good enough. Okay, right, that is in. Okay, so let's go with the second one. There we go. So this one looks a little bit more straightforward to put in, he says, as this one comes out and unclips. Again, you can see that the way it goes in, because the contacts are visible at the end there. And luckily, when you actually hold it into, house it into here, by the looks of it, as soon as the one thing that I was quite happy with is that there is no Y hook like you do have in the charging mounting, as I am looking down into the housing where the battery goes. So the battery is off at the moment, and this one goes in. And it's interesting that there's no push button, so you don't necessarily know that you've got it in there. I am pushing rather hard on it. So let's just see if that's it. This must be the whole that's actually retaining it, where with the main cab, that it's actually just, you do actually click it in. So that all looks like that's actually in there nicely now. Okay, so let's just turn these on. Okay, so let's turn on the cab. As you can see, that is on. The batteries, they're obviously charged up now, and the lights are flashing, and it looks like it's running through some sort of system there, because they're going on and off. Let's turn on the trailer, and I can see those are working as well, so we both have them on there. Now let's try the controller. We have lights on, so it looks like it's running through a pairing at the moment, which is good. So it looks like we are connected, because I'm turning the wheels now. One of the things that I just wanted to note on here is that the system actually has these three different buttons, and this corresponds to a different level of what you are controlling. So A is the main cab, B is the actual trailer, and C is for any stationary equipment. And this is actually in the manual, and it's pretty straightforward once you notice it. So I'm at the moment just going to see what all of this is about in terms of just moving the sticks up. So this, at the moment, I have no idea what this is doing, so I'm just playing with the buttons here randomly. So that's obviously changing the, so that looks like that's changing the, putting the legs down. What's this going to do? Okay. I did want to notice that this is actually, there is like a constant clicking sound coming from the main cab. I'm not sure what that is, but maybe it might change as it drives. Okay, so let's just put that down again. And these controls are obviously fairly easy. You can see you just roll it down and then roll this up, and it's and down it goes. So I'm just going to press these buttons randomly and just see what happens. Okay, so I've just pressed that A. Right, so let me just move this out of the way and bring this closer into what you've got there. So this button at the moment seems to be changing the steering wheels, but for some reason, unbeknown to me, okay, here we go. Okay, I'm not sure what this actual second control, this bit actually does here, and whether it's any use to us whatsoever, but we'll obviously find out. Okay, so it looks like you need to use one of these shoulder buttons here. If anyone's used to controllers, then these are the shoulder buttons. Not that I am, but obviously from what minimal I have used games consoles. Yeah, so these shoulder buttons, by the looks of it, if I press this one, it's going to go forward, and the top one backwards, which is interesting actually, because I would have thought it was the opposite way around, but you know, that's just me. Okay, so we do have so let's just go for a little bit of a drive here. Okay, so we're just off the screen now. It has got some pretty good reversing in terms of its sensitiveness. So I'm just gonna press the shoulder button down forward hard just to see how fast we can go. Okay, and hard backwards. A little bit lighter to hard, backwards light to hard, to back to hard. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm actually, as a first attempt, that's not bad. Okay, so I'm going to lay a little bit of track down to see how straight it runs, and let's see how it goes. Okay, so we are back. So I've laid some of the standard Siku road that you get from the sikuworld range. So obviously, if you want to see more of this track, there's loads of videos on playlists on my channel, and please consider subscribing if you can, and hit the bell button if you want to know when stuff gets uploaded. So right to start with, as in the start of the video, I'm just going to do a light press down on the shoulder button here and just see how straight it runs, and let's just see how it goes. Okay, so there's a little bit of a turn on it. Let's just do the reverse now. Top button, nice and slowly. As we go down there. So I'm unsure, and I should probably consult the manual, as we've obviously seen, but there is actually it may be that up here, and I'm not sure how well you can see it in the light, there we go, that there is this button here, and I'm not quite sure what that actually does, but every time I start pushing it, it makes a really weird noise. So at the moment, that could be the tracking for the wheels. So at the moment, I'm just going to leave that out as is, and then just have a little play at that later. So I think as a first thing now, I just want to actually get the trailer up onto this and see how it goes from there. So I am obviously clearly making this very easy for myself, as this is the first time I've used this. So I think now, let's just see. Okay, so I've just pushed the shoulder button down, and as you can see off the corner of the screen there, it's I've raised the trailer, which is obviously not what we want, so I'm going to put that down. I want to raise up the legs, or do I want to raise them down? Let's find out. So so the legs are actually up. I mean, this is very good. It does have very good increments to the actual raising of it. So I'm going to just try and hitch this up to the thing. I think one of the things, I mean, maybe this is part of one of, because this is a universal controller for the whole range, is I think this must be something else, but I just still naturally want to start using this. I don't know what it is. It's just, obviously, because I fly drones, I usually fly the drones, so it's that I'm naturally wanting to use that. But this, you know, the shoulder button does work, so you know, it is what it is. So I'm just going to try and get this back up now. And I do like there is actually a certain amount of maybe I do need to raise that up a little bit and then connect it down from there. Not sure if that is on, so let's just try forward. No. Forward. Okay. Do I need to lower this down completely for it to lock in? So I've taken the legs up completely. Let's see if that works. And it does. Okay, so that is successfully done. It's all very well, and this is where we find out I'm not a HGV driver. So that's like that. Let's go forward again. So what have I done there? What have I done there? Okay, right. Let's just have a little think about what's going on here. Wicked. Okay, right, so as you can see on here, there is 2 shoulder buttons on here, so this actually controls, okay, so a couple of things. I was wrong. As you can see here, basically this right shoulder button on the controller actually controls the locking mechanism from the cab to the trailer, and as you can see, that is moving up and down, and there's a little hook in there that hooks it on. So brilliant. Let's just give this another go now. I'm going to put the legs down a little bit more now, and then let's just see if I can actually hitch this thing up from the really frustrating position it is there. Okay, right, so I'm going to now press the right shoulder button to try and hitch it up properly. Raise the legs as far as it will go, and then hopefully we are good to actually start moving forward now. And we are. And as you can see, I nearly jackknifed it. Okay, so I'm just driving this off because I'm obviously terrible at driving, and I just wanted to see how powerful this item is to actually get up anything. So this is just a good indication actually of how good it is at getting up stuff, and it doesn't look like it's too healthy at actually getting up ramps. So let's just test this out. So will it go up? Okay, so it will go up. It does have enough oomph if it's actually needs. No. Okay, I've got myself stuck. Right, let's sort this out again, and let's start number 1. As you can see, that noise has now actually stopped, which is great, because I was a little bit worried that there might have been something broken in the actual whole mechanism. But as you move forward and move backwards, that noise is now completely gone, which is excellent. It must be something to do with the wheels, because once you start turning this button, it starts up again. Okay. Okay, so let's start looking at the lights now. So let's just see what these buttons do here. So top button we press there, the lights are on, or sorry, the lights were on to start with, now the lights are off. And then we have some flash, we have lots of flashing buttons there, which is great. Press the button off. Okay, there must be several different modes that you can use. And again, okay, so it looks like there's two different modes, individual, and then the second one is both together. So turn that off. And do we have indicators? We do. So you can press them one at a time and they will both work at the same time. Let's just move that forward slightly, see if you can see both of them running there, which is great. And then you can turn one off and then the other off. So the indicators work there. Let's just put this back up now. Let's just see if the indicators work on the actual rear of the cab. And they do. Hazards. Brilliant. Okay, so while we do that, we'll just leave the hazards on, and then I do want to try and raise up this bucket to see. And I just want to. Okay, brilliant. Just wanted to check that. So you can actually do it in several different positions, and as you can see, that this thing. All right. So this is actually die-cast metal, which is great. So that will hold some stuff in actually, which is good. So as that comes up and comes down, there is a little metal bit here, as you can see, that stops this actually coming open. And when obviously this starts to get raised up, it goes down. And then if that's got anything weighted on it, that will obviously, it will drop it out at a nice speed instead of just completely falling out. So that is pretty much it for the review. I'm overall, I am actually really impressed. I think it is actually quite fast. I will check the battery range on, the range of the actual unit a bit later, and I will now put that below in the video. One of the things I just wanted to just highlight here in terms of its overall length, and so its overall length is 390 millimeters or 15.5 inches in old money, and it is, in terms of height, it's nearly 130 mil high or 5 inches. And as you know before, the weight of it is nice and hefty, at well over 1.5 kilos in weight once it's all together. And just doing a little quick run of it is actually, I do think that this can pick up some pretty good speed. If you needed it to, which is great. It's still a little bit removed than what this actually does. It's probably for a different, because you can get the tractors and all other things in the Siku Control range. I think other than that, there's not much to add. As I said in the video, I will test out the range for it, and let you know in the comments below or in the description box. Yeah, so that is the initial review of the Siku Control SCANIA tipping trailer.